brothers and sisters. Well, now, if you're going to be disrespectful, don't expect me to just let you off the hook. Y'all don't want this smoke. You don't. And deep in your heart, you know you don't. So then leave Lil Sid alone. You know I'm right. That's none of us. That's not in our culture at all to call a legendary man by his first name, not even a full name, a nickname. That's not us. You know that's not us. That's some other stuff. Then fix it. Take your butt to the commissioners the same way you went there and say, oh, we got this wrong. We need to show that man a little more respect and what he stood for and who he is and who he was. Just fix it. Now, if you're going to try to keep fixing your mouth to try to come at me or try to defend this with some craziness, then hey, I'm going to have to give you a little act right. Now, the question is how much act right is going to get you to do the right thing? That's the question. That's the question. Because I got a whole lot in this bag. I say I got a whole lot. Do you really want to play with me? Do you really want to play with me? No, you don't. And you know you don't. Okay. And we're talking mentally and spiritually, right? This ain't a physical thing. Just so we're all clear, because we know people can try to find a way to do this so they ain't got to deal with the truth of what we're talking about. You know, they try to go this way or that way. Nah. You ain't ready for nothing. This deal with where you're at. That's the best thing for you anyway, because again, you're not ready for any of the smoke. So let's just fix it. Now, Pastor Rhodes, Reverend Dr. Clifton Rhodes Jr., has had 2 children, Michelle and Troy. Michelle now goes by Michelle Jones, and Troy, Clifton Troy Rhodes III. We call him Troy. Got 2. So a good question to start off with is, why wasn't his son involved in this decision-making process? Why not? He's got brothers. Pastor Rhodes has brothers in the city of Grand Rapids. Why weren't they asked to come and give their input on the situation? The oldest member of the Rhodes family in Grand Rapids his name is Sidney Rhodes. My father. He's the patriarch of the family right now. You didn't ask him to sign off on any of this. So it's clear to me that Michelle Jones, who was involved, who is involved, has to be looked at. So she gave a response on her Facebook page, it appears. So I'll begin like this. If you know me, then you know I speak the truth. I ain't really worried about nobody. It's just, I've always been that way. That's why you don't mess with me, because Lil Sid gonna just, by the way, that's what my family calls me, Lil Sid. And Sid gonna tell the truth regardless. He ain't worried about you. That ain't nothing new. Okay? That ain't nothing we done just started. Sid done been that way forever. Y'all know that. For better or worse, Sid got his own thing. He gonna say what he believes. Truth, period. He ain't worried about you. That's just how he is. You know that. The dude different. Me, right? Different kind of cat. Again, that's why you don't want this smoke. So Michelle, she has something to her credit, and she also has some other stuff going on. What's to her credit? Well, she's my cousin. She's my first cousin. And I'm not going to lie on her. I'm going to give her her flowers. She loves and loved her daddy. Flat out. For real, for real. Anyone who questions anything about this process or me saying things were out of pocket or disrespectful and that there ain't no way in the world that sign should say Cliff's Corner, which is true. Ain't no way in the world it should. No way in the world. The fact that she was a part of it Don't think it's because she didn't or doesn't love her daddy. I'm telling you, that's the wrong street, the wrong road, the wrong corner. Michelle Jones, I'm stamping it hard. Mad love for her daddy. Mad love. Okay. So we're talking about how it comes out, how you manifest that. And that can be wrong, right? You can manifest it wrong. But she loves. I mean, for real, she'll move mountains for her daddy. Okay? Now y'all heard me, right? So don't be trying to confuse what I'm saying. I'm talking about the way in which you do something. But it ain't because of her lack of love for her daddy. Okay? All right. That's important because it's the truth. So how does it come out? Well, she's selfish, allegedly. Michelle is very, very selfish. She wanted her daddy and has wanted her daddy all to herself. That's the bottom line, man. I don't know if you can handle that or not, but if you know her, you know it's true. She resents anybody in the family that's too close to him. She resents the Messiah family when they're too close to him, and he's dedicating all those years and late night hours and early morning hours and middle of the night phone calls to come to the hospital. She resents that. Why? Because it was pulling her away from her daddy. She didn't want her daddy going through all that. That's her daddy. She want that. Her. Number one. That's her issue. She completely wants her daddy to herself. So how does that manifest? Well, you can't call it Pastor Rhodes Boulevard. Why not? Well, I, Michelle, allegedly have been trying to separate this man from y'all for decades. I don't want him at the church. I don't want him associating with the family. I want him all to myself. Now, that may sound weird to you, but then just ask yourself, what's your other explanation? What's your other explanation? If somebody earns a doctorate, especially if they were born in Louisiana, like Reverend Dr. Clifton Rhodes Jr., especially if our family used to be on a plantation, let alone up from slavery. I'm talking about plantation, though. Okay? Born in Louisiana. Are you hearing me? We got that old school funk. Are you hearing me? Okay. And you take a man like that who didn't even graduate on time from high school. I'm talking about Reverend Rhodes, y'all. Didn't even graduate, didn't even receive his diploma on time from high school, ended up working his butt off, getting a doctorate. And we can't even put that on the sign. It ain't even Dr. Rhodes. It's Cliff. Where'd they do that at? So you have to be able to explain this. So as weird as it sounds, when I tell you she wants him all to herself, you got to strip him down from all that other stuff that kept him working that hard for the community, working that hard for the church, working that hard on his degree, working that hard on build up knowledge so he can teach the people better, traveling around Saginaw, Flint, Detroit, all over the country. You got to strip all that so you can control it now, so you can finally have him follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. You can finally just have him all to yourself as much as possible. But get them roads out of here. Try to get the Messiah, those other Messiah people out of here. I want my daddy. If I'm wrong, prove it wrong. You got to be able to explain this. What did Pastor Rhodes want? Well, he wouldn't want himself to be the focus. If you know, you know. He don't want himself to be the focus. So actually what you've done is created a sign that points to a person when he was trying to point you to the cross. Think about it. Who does that? He trying to point everyone he can to the gospel. In that being the case, how could we ever, I mean, ever take away the title? Because when you strip it down, it could be anything, anybody, anything going on in that corner. Hey, man, let's meet over there at that corner. And you say some weird things, you say some weird things to yourself. So we're going to get together and we're going to name a street after Pastor Rhodes. Oh, man, that's a great idea. People in the community say, oh, man, that's a great idea. You're going to name somebody. Oh, yeah, he deserves it. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, my auntie. And oh, yeah, Pastor Rhodes. Yeah, Reverend Rhodes. Word, no problem. So somehow you go just say, well, hey, let's fill out the paperwork and let's get the commissioners. And okay, let's do that. Okay, whoop, 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 okay. Yes, we're going to recognize Reverend Dr. Clifton. Okay. So oh, no. Don't write that name down. You see what I'm saying? The intentionality of this. No. Don't write that name down. We got a different name we're going to use. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It don't even make sense. In 2024, which is where we're currently doing our thing from, even high schoolers, and some even before then, know about branding nowadays. Branding. You build up a brand and then you go from there. But you got a brand, and that's important. I mean, especially if you done spent decades building it up. Everybody know Reverend Rhodes. Everybody know Pastor Rhodes. Who the heck is Cliff? So you're not even making sense from a branding standpoint. You're going to change the name of McDonald's and expect everybody to still come to your new restaurant called Jack's Burger. We don't know Jack's Burger, but we know them fries at McDonald's. And McDowell's. However you hear me. It don't make sense. You're actually making it harder on yourself unless you have a different motivation. It's for yourself, not for the cross, not for the gospel. So not only are you not giving him his spiritual recognition, you're not even giving his doctorship recognition. You're not even giving him that. Oh my goodness. Stripping him down. You say, oh, well, his wife called him Cliff. Amen. You're right. She did. You're right. She did. That don't give us the right to do it. I could be doggone. My Aunt Martha can call that man Cliff 1,000 times a minute if she wants. For the rest of her life and before, because she's earned that right. That ain't got nothing to do with you and I, or your son, or your daughter, or your granddaughter, or your grandson. Let your little nappy-head grandson, Cliff. Who are you talking about? Whoa, put a hand on that fix you. What you talking about? We don't roll like that. Now, in some other cultures, you understand, in some other cultures, they roll like that. They might say, hey, no, call me Tom. No, call me Tom. Well, then, hey, that's his business. When he signed his letters to the church, he don't even say Pastor Tom. He say Tom. Okay, that's his business. But Reverend Dr. Clifton Rhodes Jr., he wrote messages in the church bulletin. Yes, he did. From the pastor's pen. Yes, he did. And what did he sign it as? Pastor Rhodes, Reverend Dr. Clifton Rhodes Jr. That's what he signed. You ain't never got nothing from Pastor Rhodes coming from the ministry called, and he said Cliff. Never in over 40 years. So who are you? Okay, let's take it back to Aunt Martha. Now, I said she can say it, and she can say whatever she want to say. She earned that right. But what they do behind closed doors is their business. That ain't got nothing to do with us or legacy. Let me help you understand. What did Pastor Rhodes call the First Lady, Sister Martha Rhodes? What did he call? What did he call her? Go ahead. I'll wait. That's right. You didn't know. Okay. Those of you who do know, Pastor Rhodes called his wife Fat Mama. If I'm lying, I'm flying. I ain't seen a bird all day. For those that know, they know. Can't even believe I told you. They can't believe I told you. But it's the facts. It's the truth, because that's what Sid does. He tells you the truth. Pastor Rhodes called his wife Fat mama. Prove me wrong. Now, I dare you to set up some legacy, set up a street corner, a building, this and that, and put Fat Mama on there and then claim, well, that's what he called her. How could you be so disrespectful? You're going to have all kind of problems running around here talking about some Fat Mama. Who you think you are? Well, that's what he called her. You out your rabbit blank, blank, blank mind. See, that ain't none of us. Am I bringing it home to you? That ain't none of us. We don't even think that way. We don't talk that way. I tell you what you do. Go on over there to Pilgrim Rest right now and start calling Pastor Maurice Jones by his first name and nickname on that microphone and see if you get out of there alive, running off at the mouth. Go on over there and start talking that way. Go on over there to the old Bethel. Go on over there and start talking about some Bill and Will instead of Bishop Abney. You ain't gonna put no respect on his name. Just start running off at the mouth talking about Will this and Will that. Go on and do that and see how that work out for you. It's disrespectful. That's Bishop Abney. That's Pastor Maurice Jones. And you know I'm right. Go over to New Hope and try that junk. Go to Gospel Temperature. Go to New State. Go anywhere you want. We don't roll that way. Again, that's that other stuff. They ain't like us. Oh, Lord. So, this whole thing, we're doing part 2 of this video because we thought part 1, we just, say we had to say. We're right. We're standing on business. We're 100% just giving you true funk. Should be it. Shouldn't have to say nothing else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we shouldn't have to waste our time doing this. But folks still decided to run their mouth. So then, hey, man, you should have known better. You should have known better. Okay. If you're not just trying to hoard this box called Cliff's Corner, if you're not just trying to control this yourself, then what is it? Because I said he has a daughter and a son. Why wasn't the son invited to these meetings? Ooh, talk on it, Sid. Talk on it. Who does that? Who does that? Who has something celebrating the legendary former President Barack Obama and invite one of his daughters and not the other sibling? Why you want to invite one and not the other? Why is one going to start something? Malia going to start an organization and Sasha, you ain't even going to invite her. Where they do that at? Ain't that his daddy too? In this situation, that's Troy, right? That's his son, right? Okay. Because see, even if you invited him and he went along with this nonsense, which I don't believe he would have, but at least he would have told you, but we spelling it wrong, y'all. My daddy, when he did use the name Cliff, it was only with one F, y'all. What he didn't do was say Cliff. He didn't do that. He took off the TON in Clifton. And when he did use it sparingly, but when he did use it, it was with one F, y'all. Y'all ain't even got it spelled right the way he would have done it. This is ridiculous. And you think I'm not going to call you on it? This is what you do. You got to fix it. Take your butt to the commissioners. Hey, we blew it, y'all. We blew it. Hey, we got to redo this paperwork right quick. And I mean, if they tell you, hey, well, the new sign going to cost X amount, Sydney will pay for the new sign. If it's a money issue, well, the new sign going to cost such and such. And the new sign, if we get a new sign, we got to pay for. Okay, I'll pay for it. How about that? I'll pay for it. Now what? Change the sign. Just fix it. Oh, you want some more smoke? I see. Be careful. Be careful. You want some more? Oh man, be careful. I know too much, and I'm standing on the truth. I'm standing on it. Leave me out of this. Just do what's right, and I'll celebrate you. But we're not going to co-sign foolishness. I'll support the good, but we ain't gonna co-sign no foolishness. So now, who's the current pastor of Messiah? His name is Daniel Smith. Pastor Daniel Smith. Okay. Pastor Smith, I know you know that this is some junk. I'm going to give you credit for having the gift of discernment. You know in your heart, let me say it again. You know in your heart that Michelle Jones has and holds resentment for the Rhodes family. You know that. You also know she has some resentment towards the Messiah family. You know that. Come on, man. You know that, Pastor Smith. And you also know respect. Now, how do I know you know respect? Uh-oh. See, leave Sydney alone. That's just leave Sydney alone. How do I know you know respect? Well, because when you preached your father's eulogy, you did it with strength and respect. How do I know how you preached your own father's eulogy? How do I know? Because I was there. Why was I there in Pontiac, Michigan? Not in Grand Rapids. Why was I a couple hours away in Pontiac? Why? Because Pastor Rhodes, this was before you became Pastor Messiah, by the way, sir. Because Pastor Rhodes wanted to be there at your father's homegoing. But he could no longer drive, could hardly stand up. He was on an oxygen machine 24/7. But he wanted to be there. See, respect. See, respect. So I brought the First Lady, Sister Martha Rhodes, and Pastor Rhodes, and the three of us drove for a few hours, and we were there. And the ride itself had Pastor Rhodes flat out exhausted. Flat out exhausted. Couldn't take a step. So we helped him get to the seat, and he did his best to stay, sit up straight the best he could, because he wanted to be there out of respect for your daddy. Huh? I'm speaking the truth. Your daddy, the pastor. So I know you know. Speak on it, Sid. And Brother Smith, Pastor Smith, you gave a powerful eulogy. I ain't gonna lie on you, sir. I'm not gonna lie on you. You didn't shed a tear. You were strong, man, strong. I'm telling the truth. You were strong. And Pastor Rhodes was exhausted. Let me just say it like that. So after the service, and people are filing out, Pastor Rhodes had to go to the restroom. Again, no strength. Where's the restroom? Oh, you got to go in the basement. Oh, man, got to go to the basement for a restroom. Man. So Reb and I in the bathroom in the basement. Now, I'm not going, but there's a point to this. Pastor Smith, you know better than this, man. Pastor Smith didn't shed a tear, as I said, but down in that basement, as people were leaving, on the other side of the basement, there was a chair. And in that chair was a man with his head down, crying. And that man was you, Pastor Smith. And when Pastor Rhodes and I came out of that bathroom, and I'm holding him up, and he looked over there and he saw you with your head down crying. Like I said, upstairs, you were strong, bro. Downstairs in the basement, when the people were filing out, it might have just all come on you. No problem with that. No problem. But the heart of Pastor Rhodes from the other side of the basement with no strength, none, physically, right? Physically. But it was the spirit And he looked at me. I need to go speak to Brother Smith. I need to go speak to Smith. Yeah. And basically, holding him, supporting him, we made it across that basement floor and got to you, Pastor Smith. Hey, man. Hey, I'm holding this man in my arms. And you pick your head up and you see Pastor Rhodes. And to your credit, you stood up and you grabbed on Pastor Rhodes, and as best he could, he leaned into you, and I'm sandwiched in, right? I mean, hey, I got no choice. I'm holding up Pastor Rhodes, and you come in this full embrace. So the three of us are now smashed together, and you wouldn't let go, and he's trying to lean into you as much as possible, and your tears are flowing, Pastor Smith. And I'm going to tell the truth. The spirit was strong, bro. That was an incredible moment, man. The spirit was strong. Some months later, you become the pastor of Messiah Missionary Baptist Church. Now, I cut through a lot, but maybe that's for another day. So, meanwhile, Pastor Rhodes has been steadily declining. He had ALS, by the way, brothers and sisters, if you didn't know. So, it's commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It jacks you up. Your mind stays intact, but your body shuts down. Your arms, your hands, your legs, your body just shuts down. Okay, so you don't have the muscles. But the crazy thing is your mind is still, as I said, intact. So you're thinking, but you can't even speak the word. You can't, what you're thinking to do, you can't do. So you have to really, really listen, when somebody's at that stage. It's really hard to even make out their words. But Pastor Rhodes was in that hospital bed. We're at the hospital, y'all. And I'm there with him. Just he and I in the room. And Pastor Smith shows up. Now, this is, again, Pastor Smith is now the pastor of Messiah. He's come from Pontiac/Flint. Okay. Now he's in Grand Rapids as the pastor. This is just, short time from the first part of the story. So anyway, Pastor Rhodes looks at me and close the door. Oh, man. Uh-oh. I get up, I close the door. So now it's the three of us in the room. Now, why am I telling you this story? Because Pastor Smith knows better than what's going on right here. You don't call this man Cliff. All right. So three of us are in the room. Pastor Rhodes had me close the door, and Pastor says something that I now have to apologize for, brothers and sisters. And this is the reason I'm telling you right now is because A, Pastor Smith knows better than what's going on, and B, I need to apologize because I wasn't there. And if I had been there, then maybe this wouldn't have happened. Now, what am I saying? Pastor Rhodes looks at me with Pastor Smith standing there, and he says, Lil Sid, which is what they call me, Lil Sid, the way you are with me, I want you to be with him. Looking at Pastor Smith. All right. This is what I'm apologizing for, because I speak the truth, even if it points back at me. And I looked at Pastor Rhodes, y'all. This is what I'm apologizing for. I looked at Pastor Rhodes and I said, I can't do that. Real talk, y'all. I can't do that. I said, Pastor Rhodes, if you tell me to jump, I'm saying how high. I can't promise I'm going to do that for him. And in his beautiful fashion, he looked back at me and he said, well, pray on it. Pray on it. I'm telling y'all that because it kind of speaks for itself. So I wasn't there when these types of shenanigans, and had I been there, and I'm not claiming to you that somehow Pastor Smith, had I been there with a decision like this, that Pastor Smith would have done what I said. Oh, I wouldn't be so disrespectful to say that. Pastor Smith do what he want to do. He a pastor. He the pastor. He got the power. Feel me? Okay. So, hey, but it wouldn't have been easy. You hear me? There'd have been some furniture moving. You understand? So Uh, with all due respect, he's the pastor. But yeah, sitting in this room talking about something as stupid as calling that man Cliff for the general public to see as a legacy piece. Oh no, we're not having none of that. We're not having any of that. And it'd have been awfully hard if I'm in that room helping him like Pastor asked me to. So I got to apologize for that because I could take some ownership myself. I'm not there. But I'm here now in this form. And I'm definitely calling out saying, fix this stuff, y'all. You know better. Pastor Smith, you were raised right. You know, you were a member of the cloth. You were around these brothers. You know for a fact they don't play this. Yeah, you might call each other such and such and such and such between yourselves, but for the general public, come on, man. You know what it is. You know what it is, where we're from, where your daddy was from. That's the old school, man. It's Reverend so-and-so. It's Pastor so-and-so. You know that. They deserve it. They've earned it. And especially Reverend Dr. Clifton Rhodes. Why are y'all trying to take our hero from us when in fact, by giving him the proper spiritual title on the sign, you're pointing the next generation to Christ versus him? Why would you point him back to Cliff? He's married to the gospel. I say he's married to the gospel. When you got married, old school, I ain't on the new school, old school, didn't you change your name? And weren't you offended when somebody kept calling you so-and-so? When you married, I's married now, call me by my right name. Now you're going to take me all the way back to grade school, somebody calling me Cliff. Come on, y'all, don't strip the man like that. As few good examples as we have nowadays, and you're going to make him common like he just any old Cliff? What the heck is that? And why would you do that to yourself? That don't even make no doggone sense. The Messiah family. Man, I love Messiah. Messiah family. We know better than that. We know better than that. Deacons, trustees, motherboard, leadership. We know better than that. We never called that man that. Now say what you want. We never called that man that. We put some respect on it all the time. And he gave us respect right back, brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. Yes, he did, and you know him right. Don't rob him of that. It wasn't just Cliff that went across that basement to you, Pastor Smith. That was a pastor. That was a reverend. Don't rob him of that in his title so that the children can say one day, I could be a great pastor. I could be a great reverend pastor for over 40 years. Over 40 years. Don't let nobody take away. If anything, add to. You don't take away. Strip it all down. For what? For who? Why are we stripping the man of the things that he's earned, of the things that he's dedicated his life to and for? Who does that? And why are you doing it? It's just wrong. And you know it's wrong. Take your butts back to the commissioners and sit on down to commissioners. Hey, we got to fix this. Just fix it. You feel me? Just go on and fix it. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I hope we don't have to go over this again and again. This is part 2. I thought part 1 was, funky enough. I hope during a part 3, look, I don't want to bring the spicy spice because there are other motivations and there are other stories and there are other secrets and there are other relationships. Y'all don't want me to do that. You know I know. Oh, you didn't know? You know I know. Don't have me. Don't do it. Just do the right thing. Y'all don't want that kind of smoke. You don't. Leave Sydney alone. I'm well too schooled for this. Y'all know Sydney been this way too long. Don't do it. Don't do it. Been too many times that we've given passes because of Pastor. He gave the passes. I ain't got all the passes that man had. You heard. So let's just do the right thing. There's no reason to take away from this man. And by the way, I'm going to say it again. Don't y'all dare have nothing else without involving his son, Clifton Troy Rhodes. You make sure he's in the building. You make sure he's a part of his dad. Pastor Rhodes had one son. Now he called, we had spiritual sons, and a whole lot of us called him dad in various ways, spiritual father, all kinds of stuff. I get that. But in that household, there was one. You don't rob him of access to decisions like this. That's just corny. That's vindictive. That's spiteful. Don't do that. Don't do that. He wouldn't want you to do that. How about that? And you know him, right? He gonna tell you, well, wait a minute, where's CT at? Huh? Holla if you hear me. Holla if you hear me. You know him, right? He wouldn't even let you have a meeting. Tell C to come over here. Tell C to come over here. He gonna have the meeting, y'all. And his son gonna be involved in that. And you know him, right? Stop it. Y'all leave me alone. Blessings to you. Let's just do the right thing. Let's not diminish. Let's do what he would want. He would want us to point to the cross. Okay? Point to the cross. And it's not because of just the title itself. It's also because the title helps to point to the gospel. And that's what he would want. He would want, if you saw in a blink of an eye, or even if you was at that corner, which is like holy ground, right there at the church. If you look at that, feel something about Christ, something about the gospel. When you see that reverend or pastor, right? Maybe you didn't do what you was going to do when you was parked at that corner. You feel me? Testimony, a witness. That's what he would sign off for. That's what he would want. And you know that. But you try to do something different for your own stuff. Now, see, brothers and sisters, let's hope there's not a part 3. Let's hope there's not a part 3. I've only scratched the surface, brothers and sisters. Okay? So let's just leave Sydney alone. Let's do the right thing, because we don't want Sydney to start really talking. We don't want that. We want to just do the right thing for what Pastor Rhodes wanted, which was love for the people in the gospel. Scratch this Cliff junk. That's some other motivation. Scratch all that. Go to what we know. That's Reverend Rhodes. That's Pastor Rhodes. We all know that. Stick with the real funk. Leave it at that. I'll tell you one thing. If Kamala wins, because we're in election year, y'all. Don't you know these same ones trying to shuck and jive right now about this name? Don't you know they want me the first ones to be talking about don't be calling her Kamala. That's Madam President. These same jive time turkeys. Think about it. The same ones going to be running their mouth about it's okay to call him Cliff. If Kamala wins, they're going to be the first ones saying, don't be just calling her Kamala. That's disrespectful. She's Madam President. Ain't that a trip? Think about it. And you know I'm right.